Call the Shorewood Sanitary District meeting to order. We'll do a quick roll call. I'm Rich Stork, Chairman.
Dean Sandell, Treasurer.
Matt Anderson, board members.
Sue Means, board member. Tina Heidelberger, secretary clerk.
Okay, so we have the minutes are presented to us by Tina. We've all read them. They're posted. These are the unapproved minutes from Tuesday, December 12th. If you guys had a chance to take a quick look at them, that'd be great. But I am looking for approval of the minutes for December 12th. Does anybody have any questions or anything at this point?
No.
Looking for approval on the minutes?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So the Tuesday, December 12th meeting minutes are approved as written.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wastewater operator update. Terry is not here, of course. He did reach out to me briefly before. He was ready to come for our meeting last week, but we had to cancel due to illness, so we postponed till Tuesday today. But he did get a call to go off on emergency lift station problem at another facility, so he won't make it. He did give me a report of our flows, which is very important. Our high flow last month was after all that 2-inch rain right around Christmas. It was on 12/26, and it was high. It was 18,300, which was kind of expected with all the rain that we did receive. And the low for the month was really nice. It was down around 68.10. I think I'm going to start asking them for an average, because I think that's most important. High, low, and average. So in the future, I'll ask Terry for an average. And we really want to have that average below that 15,000 gallons of flow per day is what our ultimate goal is on our I&I. I'm going to wrap up the chairman update with wastewater a little bit. Terry and I did take care of a couple little small issues over the month. One has to do with the I&I issue we had with that resident down on Lakeside Circle in the 90 address, the Kylos. They were really receptive. I met Terry there last week and we scoped the line, and we did find a problem with their main drain. There was a cracked pipe. Once we found the crack, it was flowing water. Somebody had a garden hose. It was water going consistently. Terry did a quick calculation of that influent coming in and figured it was almost like 500 gallons per hour.
Oh my gosh.
So that's a lot of water. So the resident,
Where was that coming from?
it's groundwater. So his line was down about 3 feet, buried about 3 feet, so the groundwater's up that high. And that again is one of our lowest areas throughout the whole park. Terry provided a bid for the customer, and Terry actually fixed it today, was able to dig it up because there was no frost. He said, yeah, I'll come in, no frost charge or whatever. So he did find the problem, and it happened to be, if you remember 3 years ago, the gas company came and put new gas lines. They hit the line.
Oh.
So they bored through it. So it's repaired and fixed, so that's great. So I don't know if the customer is actually going to go after the gas company for help. I'm not sure. So that's kind of what Terry and I have been working with. I know we asked him about getting the hard lids and everything on out of the ponds, and he did take care of that. So that's kind of what's happened with wastewater this month. Chairman update. I've been reaching out, trying to get a hold of a lawyer, because we're recently seeking to find a new lawyer. I reached out to John Quebec Law up in Pine City. I wasn't really getting any response. Reached out to Dean today, and he reached out to him, and he happened to be sick all over Christmas too. He did get our email. I did send that email out to everybody. He did respond today. He doesn't practice in the law for municipalities, but he did pass off a name of another lawyer there in Pine City that we could reach out to, so I'll reach out to him. Yep. I think you guys all seen that email. Paul passed on some information to me today from the Wastewater Association. I think it's a group that we belonged to before. There's somebody out there that wants to meet with our operator and, provide some information about our ponds and nutrients and so on and so forth. So I passed that information on to Terry. I'll pay attention to that and see. I imagine just by reading it, it's wastewater pond optimization specialist.
So it's like a learning or tech or FYI, or is it a
Yeah.
mandatory thing?
No, it's not mandatory.
Oh, okay.
I really think that this is a salesman trying to sell us
Oh.
something. So Terry's used them in the past for other things. He will, we'll facilitate, see what he has for us. So Paul passed that on. I appreciated that.
Mhm.
And I let him know that. Other than that, it's been a quiet month since our last meeting. Any questions? Any questions, Mr. Powers? Perfect. All right. With that, I'm going to move on to financial update.
Okay. For the financial piece, actually, Dean, do you want to go first?
Sure, I can do that.
Okay.
Just got the year-end statement of our account, and it says that our value is total of $209,518.44 cents. That includes the $22,485 cash. That valuation is less than what we originally started with, which I think is still there. It's just accumulating interest, which means that the value, if we try to sell it now, because the 2.75% interest is lower than what people can get other places. So we still have, I believe, the $196,000 in there, plus we have the $22,485 in the cash account.
So from my end, our checking account balance as of today was $59,264.68. I do have a check also that needs to be accepted by the board. We received from the League of Minnesota Cities in the amount of $137. It was for dividends, so each year they give money back to, we're not a municipal, to the municipalities, whatever, because they saved money, they did not have claims. So it goes into detail here on how they calculate that. It's a $3 million dividend that's divided up along all the members. So I'll pass that down.
Nice.
So if I can get a motion to accept that for the board, I would appreciate it.
That first motion.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Only question is what bucket are we going to put that into?
I just put it in the regular checking account for now. I didn't know how you wanted, if you want that to go into our investment fund.
Well, it's kind of a dividend for the insurances that we pay.
Correct, yep.
Do we put that in?
That would go in our general fund then, because that's where our insurance is drawn out of, is our general fund. So,
Does
That makes
everybody-
sense.
Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else on financial, Tina, or you just get caught up there?
sorry, no, nothing else from me. That's it for today, actually. Just bills is what I have next, so,
All right, so we did receive a couple submissions over the month.
okay?
And currently, Matthew and myself are the only ones that see those submissions. And the submissions are on the website, and that's where we recommend or we'd like to see any questions or information. It's the best way to get all of the board members is visit our website. And there's a place that you can make a submission, ask a question, look for information. It's the best way for us to keep things, keep a paper trail. There was 4 of them over the month, and they really all had to do with billing, Tina.
Okay,
I just pushed all 4 of them off to you.
okay,
Other than one was actually, I'll read this one because this is a great one. So this was from Tony and Lisa Rajaman. And I am not familiar with where they live. Basically, it says, thank you for sending the newsletter to us. It was very informative. I've included our email address. So my computer just flipped over, I'm sorry. Right in the middle of it. I've included our email address, so no need to send out any further. Thank you for all you do. So that was really nice.
You live right next door to Ted, as you're going down the hill.
Sure.
Had that bases and he's got the
Oh, the-
camper, they're right next to him.
Okay, so they're
Very nice.
they're a newer couple, right? Yeah, I haven't met them. Good, so they're getting the newsletter, and that's appreciative, so that's great. I'll forward this one off to Tina for information, for email and whatever.
perfect.
All right, we're gonna move on to presentation of bills and approval of bills.
So I have a bill from East Central Energy totaling, there's that, $111.22. I also have the bill from LJJ Wastewater is $1,700. I have a reimbursement request for myself for $41.84. That was for copy paper. And then from Unity Bank, we have a $35 rental agreement for the safety deposit box. So I'll pass those down as well.
Can I get a motion on approval of the bills?
I'll make a motion to approve the bills.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Somebody did.
It seems like our electric bill was cheaper this month.
Yes.
We had a
That's
credit
nice.
for some reason. So I'm not sure what that was about.
Well, we took
But I'll
down our
take it.
Christmas lights over
Yeah.
here, that's a little cheaper.
Were
not
you
gonna
plugging
complain.
into the pump house over there?
No, no.
It will next year.
All right, sounds good. Old business. We'll move on right on to old business, and we'll move right into the expansion. And where we're at with expansion.
I believe we have a new contract with HR Green to be signed to start the process for the application for the federal funding. I have reached out to Franson Bank and to Unity and the North Neighborhood Bank to check on some temporary financing, construction financing. Franson Bank has gotten back to us, contacted Rich and Tim Corby, our engineer. And Unity Bank, I just got a response from them, and I gave them Rich's and Tim's email addresses for them to check out and to give us some information and to ask for information. There's items that they want to know about our finances and such that I passed out to Rich and to Tim Corby about the federal funding. So they're just wondering how this is all working out. So I gave it to the experts. So
One question, was it Neighborhood Bank you said?
neighborhood.
Okay, thank you.
But they have not. The person I talked to was retiring at Christmas,
Oh.
and then another guy was going to get back to me, and I haven't heard from him. So
Tina, I passed on, and
Yep.
we should probably revisit what they're kind of looking for some financials.
Yep,
Eric from Franzen, they did reach out to me. I think whatever, I think we should probably get together and decide what we need to send them.
okay,
And then they'll see, that's at least gets the ball rolling for financing. As far as the contract goes, the contract basically states Tim needs $30,000 to get moving on the paperwork with the EPA to get the grant funding. We all know that that money is gonna get paid back once the grant gets, once we get the grant money into our hands. The process is about 2 to 4 months. The only thing that we've been holding up on is, do we wait for financing, or do we take on the responsibility of this first $30,000 to get the ball rolling? I highly suggest to get the thing rolling after our last expansion meeting, that we move forward and sign that contract and start getting that grant money coming to us. So, does anybody have a question about that contract? Any other information? Anybody on the board? If not, I'm looking for a motion to sign that contract, to do the paperwork, to accept the $1.9 million grant.
If they awarded it to us when we asked, we submitted for it and got it, but we still have to.
There's paperwork that has to be completed. The grant is sitting there, but there is some additional paperwork that has to be done to get the grant.
Oh, okay.
Okay? And that's the work that HR Green will have to do with the EPA to fill out all that. That's about $30,000 of the work.
And then once they get that.
Once we get that
funds will
grant,
be-
that goes on to the tally for the expansion, and we'll be able to get that money back. If for some reason, based on, even on the minutes of last week, if the grant falls through and this thing goes away, then we bill the expansion people for that money. Just like we would assess them, just like we did before, right? So again, I'm looking for approval to go ahead and sign that contract and start to get after that grant money. HR Green said, we can, once they start sending bills, because they will, once they start doing the paperwork, based on the amount of work they're doing, we can stretch that out a little bit, but, we'll probably start moving forward and paying those bills. So I'm looking for a motion to accept that contract.
And that's between us
And HR Green,
and HR Green,
right,
with a guarantee we get the money back.
correct.
Right? If there's a guarantee, I'd say yes.
Okay, so Sue is making a motion to sign that contract. Do I got a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. I'll get that off to Tim Corby. And then I'll let you update the expansion group that we did sign that paperwork.
Okay?
And they were aware of that.
Yep, they are very
Yeah,
aware
at our
of it.
last meeting, Rich made it very specifically clear that if there was a problem, things fell apart, we would be responsible, the expansion group would be responsible for paying that money back. So,
Tina's been on board now too with the expansion group. They've hired Tina separately to take care of their funding and keep track of all the monies that we will be spending for the expansion at this particular point in time. All right. We should probably set up another meeting. I don't think it needs to be in January, but we should probably try to set up an expansion meeting early February to bring people up to speed on where we're at. That'll give Tim Corby a month to start moving forward. I'll ask Becky to send something out to update us on what's going on, okay? Well, let's move on to, let's take care of the mailbox update. Matthew, you want to update us on the mailbox and our new address and what our next steps probably are going to be at this point in time?
So nothing's changed as far as I know, unless Tina received the letter of the actual assignment of the address in our PO box, then we haven't moved at all.
I have not.
Okay, so they're still in that motion in front of the holidays, slow things down, so.
All right, and that's fine. So what we're talking about is, for a lot of paperwork, we need an actual address. And in the past, it was the past operator's personal address. So anything that happened to deal with the Shorewood Sanitary District went to his private address. And we just thought that was a conflict of interest for receiving information from the sanitary district. So what we have asked to do is get an actual physical address for the Shorewood Park Sanitary District. And that address will go on the pump house, and we'll have a mailbox there that will be actually for the sanitary district. And I think at that point, I don't know if we decided that we drop the PO box because all mail and thing would go to there instead of a PO box.
Yeah, no need for it.
Right, so the only other thing, once we get that address, it's deciding on exactly physically where we're gonna put the mailbox.
And I did talk to our mail lady, and she would prefer it to be with the others.
On that same side, okay. So, you know, can we get it directly across from the pump house? I think it would be just a matter of talking to those two neighbors, you know, who actually take care of that area. I don't think it would be an issue, but, we'll find that out.
Is it that these, is that their last name, the ones that live on the very end there?
That would be me.
Oh, is that you? Okay,
Oh,
okay.
gosh.
Well, good.
You're in the brown house there right across from the pump house?
Yes,
Okay, okay. With the separate garage?
yes.
Okay, all right, perfect.
Oh, so can you put a mailbox by your mailbox?
You would have to ask my husband.
All right.
I'll have Bella ask her
I'm
when
not
she
stepping
goes
on that
by.
one, and I'll tell him that. He's gonna have to
We'll
decide.
talk, we'll talk to
So
him.
if you see
And
us
we're-
wrestling in the yard, I don't know about
Very good.
I don't do anything without him.
Well, you know, it's nice to meet you, because I've talked to you on the phone, but I've never met you, so it's nice to meet you.
Our investment account statements come to me personally because I have an address. So once we get an address for the Shorewood Park District, if you guys would prefer having it sent to the district, that'd be fine. I'm fine with keeping it the way it is, but if you'd rather have it come right to the district once we get a mailbox, so.
Nice, well,
I think that's all cleaner and it just doesn't, you know,
yeah.
just everything comes to that point. So we'll move forward on that. We'll keep the mailbox information coming as that moves.
The address is 50643 Shorewood Circle. 50463.
Great number.
Nope, 50643.
That's what I said.
No.
643. Matthew? All right, moving on to the last part of old business. We have a board vacancy. We've asked, and we put out and asked if anybody would like to take over the vacancy on the board. There were a couple other people, or there's 3 people that shown interest in it. 2 have since dropped out. Is there anybody here who would like to take on that board position?
I would like to.
Well, we appreciate that, Al Powers. I guess, you know, we typically do an interview, but there's really no reason to do an interview, and I personally know Al, I think that he would do a great job fulfilling that position. Does anybody else have anything else to say?
I refuse to, no, I think that will be good to add to the board, be an asset.
Well, I accept your ask to be on the board member. Do we need to pass a motion to accept them?
Probably. Maybe ask me because I'm bylaws. Yeah, I don't think there's anything in the bylaws that says our procedure and how we move forward, so I think making a motion and having a vote on it is the way to go.
All right, I'd like to hear a motion to accept Al Powers to fulfill the open position as a board member.
I'll make a motion to accept Al Powers for the open position on the board.
Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Welcome to the board, Al.
Thank you.
I appreciate you stepping up.
Yes.
We'll have lots of fun.
Looking forward.
It's a thankless job, but we do appreciate it. Any new business?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
I just have a few questions, and just to kind of clarify some things and clear up. I don't do email.
Okay.
So I went to the website, and that's the only way to get a hold of anybody, and I don't have, I used to know how to do it. So here I am. I just want to clear up and clarify some things about the lawn mowing
Okay.
in the park. Our property goes into the park,
Okay.
so does everybody else's down that side. Did you know that?
And how far does it go into the park? We're basing, what we know is the sanitary district owns the park based on the tax information, or basically the tax map. It shows all the boundaries of all the properties, and it shows the sanitary district owning the park. And basically,
The whole thing,
from the whole point, yeah.
because my
Plot.
title plot shows, it goes past
Past the road,
the road.
and how far,
yep.
how far into the road?
And I'm going to approximate it, because
Okay.
I'm not a surveyor,
Yep,
and it gives you all of the degrees and everything.
yep,
If you look at it on the map, it's almost the same width as the street. So I'm assuming, and I'm only going to assume it's approximately 14 feet.
so I would guess that, and they do say on that map that it's, for the exact, you would have to have it surveyed. So I know that you guys have been taking care of that big corner for a long, long time and mowing that part of
30
it.
years.
Yep, 30 years. And we do realize within the district that our roads, every part of the road goes over somebody's part of the property.
Yep,
So-
it's an easement, it's a road easement.
Correct,
Yes.
correct, exactly.
An irrevocable road easement
Right.
on the title.
So we are aware that there is a little spillover into the park. on
And
each side.
I'm not here to, I guess I'm just here to clarify, and I'm not here to cause any trouble.
No,
My only thing is I don't have any issue with you mowing, if that's my property or not.
okay,
What I would like is some sort of agreement stating any part of that property that is ours, I agree that you can mow it as long as my private property is still mine by title. Okay, I'm not, if we can just sign that, that would save you guys a lot of headache, because then I will not be, not that I would. But a person wouldn't be calling for trespassing with your mower trespassing on their property, for example. Or there wouldn't be any issues. It would be a benefit for both of us. And I'm sure I already know this answer, but I'm going to ask it anyways. As far as the mower, they would be insured. So if they do get hurt on our part of the property, they are already taken care of. See? That's easy.
very simple. Yeah, so, go ahead, you can.
I mean, we would sign an agreement stating, that's fine, we're not gonna bug you about it, just as long as we keep our property by title in that area.
Right, I think it almost is, it kind of goes back and forth. I think, like, we're not gonna take over your property just because we're mowing your lawn.
I am not even suggesting that you are,
Right,
but
so,
I'm just stating,
I
and I've gotten caught on this before, laws change.
yeah, yep,
Okay, so if we had an agreement, that would solidify that. So if there were any laws that were changed and we already had the agreement,
yep.
it would be binding. So everybody would be happy. Now, if the law might change against you guys, and everybody could say, you know, da 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 da, now you owe me, or I want this or that, or you need to survey my property to make sure that your mower guy can't go on it now, or whatever.
Yeah.
We would have an agreement. You wouldn't have to worry about that with us.
Okay,
It would be done. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand that.
The third part would just be that, how can I put this? There would be no further encroachment onto our land. So it's just the part of the park. Okay? Okay.
So like they wouldn't be hopping over and.
So
doing
we're
it
not,
here
yeah, we're
for-
not gonna be hopping over anywhere, we're just, so the only three things I'm asking for is I just keep my land by title, whatever it is over there. No further encroachment of any kind onto the rest of my property.
Across the road.
Exactly. I mean, the park part is just fine. And that whoever is mowing the lawn is insured, so I am not liable, because we have the hill. So if he goes up the hill sideways or whatever and takes a tumble, then I would be liable for that.
Well, absolutely.
And I don't want anybody to
No.
tumble.
No.
And I don't want to accrue the liability either. So those are the only things, and I think that those are pretty simple.
Well, yeah, because you do hear that from other people about, well, you know, it goes in so far and we always mowed and,
Yeah,
You know,
well,
that-
the reason
yeah.
why we mowed that is because that would be our
Mhm.
property line. Everybody mowed their property line.
yeah,
Now, on the other side of
the circle.
the park, there is no, from what I could see on the property lines, there is no property line going into the park. It's only down one side.
Is yours, Matt?
No.
Oh, okay.
So basically, and that's, like Al's probably got the same amount on the other side of the road. Well, number one, anybody that's gonna mow anything from us, they do have to be licensed, insured, and so we would be asking for a certificate of insurance. So any third-party contractor that we use, they provide us with a certificate of insurance. Now, all we've done in this process, and really what it's doing is it's trying to keep things, there's always been just an unwritten rule of everybody just take care of the park, right?
But they sort that out through their property lines because they have land over there on
Well,
that side. I mean, we do our property line mowing, and then we do the rest, and the park too.
right,
And
exactly.
then the neighbor next to us does their property line mowing, and then halfway through the park.
Park.
So, I mean, that's kind of what our unwritten rule was, as far as I gather.
And that has been the unwritten rule. But what that really kind of does then is, it almost, if somebody new comes in, it almost forces them to have to take care of the park, and maybe they don't want to take care of the park, right? It's really going to be a simple thing that we mow maybe twice or once. We want the parks to look nice, right?
Exactly.
Because
And,
it's
you know,
part of our
I'm not
community.
I'm not here to argue about,
Yeah.
that's my land, you can't look at it or touch it. I am agreeable
Yep.
to have that look nice and have someone mow it.
Yep.
I would just like to have an agreement on those 3 points.
I personally agree, we should have some sort of a mowing agreement. It should be very, very simple.
It should be,
And
yeah.
then it's just a part of this unwritten rule that us neighbors are gonna get together and just make sure the park stays clean, right?
Mhm.
You know, it's just like, there's some people that step up and go pick up the sticks. There's some people that actually mow more than what they're, typically
Yeah,
mowing.
my husband's mowed more for 30 years than what he's,
There's Al's neighbor, he mows the other 3/4 of the park just because he has the equipment, he likes to mow,
Yeah.
so.
'cause
The
Yeah,
bottom
my
line is
husband
really
would
to
say.
keep the parks going, and we don't, our intention at all by getting this mowing is just to make sure that it continues to stay. But I think we could come up with some sort of an unwritten or a written mowing agreement.
Yeah, definitely something in writing, because I do not think that any of you would in any way have any,
Yep.
land grab theory in your heads.
No,
I don't think that at all, but I've been bit before when the laws have changed
Sure.
on my previous
So,
house.
like, you're imagining if, okay, we've maintained this for
15 years.
15 years, so now we're just gonna claim it as the park. Is that like a concern of yours? Where you say.
Well,
they
that
want-
can
yeah,
happen,
Yeah,
that can happen.
but if there was an agreement stating that that's known and.
That's
Well,
known,
talk
and
about-
that
yeah.
that's my private property by title, so then that would not happen.
Yeah,
See?
that's something, and then for all the people down there.
Exactly. And like I said, those laws can change on a dime.
Mhm.
Because there are some lawyers that I've looked into as far as what is the law to ask that, as far as lawn mowing. Some of them say if the guy's mowing half your yard or you're this much of your yard for 15 years, he can claim it.
Eminent domain.
Yeah. And then some lawyers say, oh no, if it's just mowing, he has to put a structure up or a garage or a sidewalk or whatever. So it's really an iffy law, and it can change either way. So I'm not thinking any of you are thinking any bad thoughts. I'm just saying that law is tricky. It's a very tricky law, and it can change either way. It would be much better for everyone
Yeah.
concerned just to have an agreement or a contract or whatever you want to say stating, we're going to mow the lawn, whatever is yours is still yours, and you're not going to have someone coming up on you in 10 years saying, I've decided you're going to have to look and get a surveyor on my property because I don't want you to take it.
So let's just put together a document with a map that shows the center island area. We'll write a sentence or two that is our intent, and then a sentence or two that we will stay on the inside of the road, on the island. There's no intention of going on the outside of the road.
There's no more encroachment.
Staying on the inside, and that, as a rule, we always have insurance, and just short and sweet, and we all sign it and put it on the website.
And then whoever property's line is over there stays within,
Yeah, is the property
by
owners.
title, yep.
Yep.
It should be.
That's
That
easy.
would,
Yeah,
I
there's
think
no
that would-
change to the title.
I think that would be something that a lot of people, once they start looking into it, are gonna get concerned, and you're gonna have a lot of angry people coming.
Oh, no,
Because
it's,
they're not gonna, they're gonna be like, oh, my land, now what? And even, I don't even, because I'm not a lawyer, but can you make a contract for a service for someone's private property? Without an agreement? I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a lawyer, but do you understand what I'm saying?
well, what I'm trying to avoid here too then is, I don't want to put the cost on the sanitary district to have to go over there and survey the lines either. We don't know exactly where that line is.
That is why an
And-
agreement would take all of that
Right,
away.
exactly. So I think it's as simple as, we'll put some sort of agreement out there,
Mhm.
and I mean, we've got a couple months before this even starts.
Yep.
And what I kind of see what's gonna happen too is, some of the old dogs are still gonna keep mowing, right? They're
Yep.
just gonna continue to do
Yep.
that, and the purpose of this mowing is just so it takes the pressure off. And whoever we contract with, if it doesn't need mowing, I don't want them to mow it either.
Right. Oh,
So,
yeah.
if it-
Last summer?
Yeah, so it's just the purpose of making sure it stays clean and green, and that it's taken care of. So, yeah, we'll put some sort of agreement out there. And again, if we hire anybody, or we hire any outside third-party contractor, they have to be licensed, bonded, and insured for anything that we do, our snow plowing, our.
I kind of already knew that
stuff.
answer,
Yeah,
but it's a point.
no,
A
I
point
appreciate
where-
you, we didn't even think about it, so I
No.
appreciate you coming in and bringing it up. It's a good point, and we'll put something out there. But again, we'll put it on the website, that agreement will be there, we'll make sure that everybody has that agreement, we'll sign that, and if you want a copy of it, I don't know if we need to actually have one for each party or each address, or if a blanket would work, but this is a question where we're in the process of trying to find a new lawyer,
Mhm.
that we could bring that up to that person and ask them about it,
Yeah.
so, before we start the mowing process, pay attention, we'll fulfill your request.
Oh, yeah, and I'm just thinking, I just don't want it to get sticky for you guys either,
Yep.
Yeah. Well, you have
Appreciate
to
it.
expect the unexpected.
Exactly.
And what was your name again?
I'm Barbara Theis.
Barb, and the last name again?
Is Theis, T as in Tom, Heis.
Oh, yeah, okay. And your husband's name?
Is Jamie, Jamey.
Oh, I've been spelling.
I know, everybody does, so that's fine.
And then your address?
Is 50668 Shorewood Circle.
668 Shorewood Circle. All right. All I'm gonna do is say pay attention. And then we'll make sure you see something happening. And before we start mowing, we'll get it out there.
Okay.
Because once we start getting closer, we haven't hired anybody yet. It'd be the first year for it. We'll make sure that we vet whoever's gonna mow, and make sure we make the right choice on that, so.
Yeah, I guess, I just want to make sure that legally on both sides that we're covered. That you're happy and I'm happy and everybody's agreeable on it.
I own my own business in Florida,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm licensed, bonds, and insured. So for my installers, they work for me, they've got to be licensed, bonds, and insured
Yep.
too, so we've got two coverages in case something happens.
Well, I knew that, but I want to make sure that you put that in there so everybody else knows that. So you don't have people who are going to come to you upset because the information is not out there.
We're not here for a land grab, that's for sure. We got enough to take care of.
And again, I don't think that, but the laws change, and that's a really tricky, sticky law. It goes either way on numerous things. And 10 years from now, or 15 years from now, when there's a new board, when new board members come, that can change.
Yep, absolutely. No,
You
that's,
know, I'm not thinking that you guys are, but, yeah. But if the laws change and the board changes, and then you're gonna have people who are gonna either be very stuck on, no, you're not touching my land, period.
Yep.
And you're gonna have issues with that, but if you have something that is transparent, they're gonna be much happier and understand it and feel at ease signing that and knowing that their property is going to be theirs forever.
And thank you for coming, because we don't know that unless, people come and have questions for us or, concerns. And this board, since it's been formed, has been very high on transparency. That's what we
Exactly,
really like.
but you know what, it sometimes is what, you don't know what you don't know. And so
Or even
you-
thought of.
Yes,
Yeah.
yep. I own a house in Minneapolis, and they changed the laws on the sidewalks in front of the house, right before I sold it. And so then I had to put so much money away in a bank for them to fix the sidewalk, and it
So you've experienced something of
I
what you're
experienced
concerned
the law
about.
change,
no.
and it took like 10 years for them to fix that.
Mhm.
And then I got a check back of the rest of the money that they didn't need to fix it. I was like, what is this? And they're like, well, 10 years ago, when you sold your house and you had to put so much money in escrow to fix that sidewalk, they finally got to it, and this is what's left over.
Wow.
So, but I knew the whole escrow thing and having to do that sidewalk because the law changed 2 months before I sold the house. So I've been kind of bitten before, so I just kind of think that in my head, think, let's protect each other on this and make everybody happy.
Well, thank you, Barb. Appreciate it. All right, with that, is there any other business? No?
Yeah, I would like to discuss the online payments and online bookkeeping with QuickBooks.
Yep.
Sounds great.
So, Matt, you had sent me an email about, so your wife uses QuickBooks, correct?
Yes, so she is a multi-location manager and handles payroll and payment system, payments to folks, customers, or whatever you want to call them. And she kind of filled me in about QuickBooks Online, and really a lot of good things. We'd be able to migrate the existing desktop to online without an issue. All board members would be able to be viewers of the QuickBooks at no extra charge. We would actually be able to send out our online invoices
Yeah.
from QuickBooks, removing the need for Plaid or Venmo or anything else.
Yep.
And that would automatically formulate into into the book and calculate itself, and it'd just be all automatic.
So we can accept the payments through QuickBooks.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
those,
And after she told me that, the guy that put my dock in last summer sent me a QuickBooks receipt. And I was like, that's right. Like, I just
Yeah.
remembered. Yeah. So yeah, it autofills into the QuickBooks feed online. So we can actually, so with our bank account being connected to QuickBooks, we can see our live ledger.
Well, and it's not, right now, it's not connected to QuickBooks.
Right.
So, the only thing that I was gonna say is that like it's essentially a data transfer going from the desktop version to the online version. My only concern is that I almost feel like we should start fresh. And because the information that's in QuickBooks right now is kind of messed up. Because when I had taken it over, even Wendy had said, she goes, I didn't know how to, she had admitted, like, she's like, I didn't know that I had to create a new account, so she said I had renamed some accounts. So there are things that show up that are still jacked up when I do the bills, where I'm like, I gotta fix it every single month. Like Catherine Anderson, there's still like a past due bill for her that shows up, and I just have to delete it every single month, but it's because of something that was done how long ago and not fixed. So I almost feel like we should start fresh with this and start a new, like, obviously, there's corrections that need to be made. There, you know, the information that we're exporting or importing or whatever would not be accurate, and I don't want to start with that information.
I'm all for starting fresh.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does that do? What kind of workload does that put on you?
It's gonna be a lot of work on the front end because it's gonna be a manual entry of the information, but at least I'm gonna know that it's right.
Right, well, I mean, you're the one, it'll make your job easier in the long run.
In the long run, exactly.
And we basically knew the information, crap in is crap out, right?
Yep, exactly.
Right.
And basically, that's what we've been working with based on the crap that was handed to us.
Yep.
And we've been trying to build this up, and I know you're doing it step by step. And we still get the same people saying, why do I get a late bill? This is probably because of some of the information that you have and what you had to work with in the past, right?
How the finance charges are calculated is messed up.
Okay.
And there's a lot of things that need to be corrected, and it would benefit us all. The only issue is that our contract with QuickBooks renews in February, and I don't know the exact date, I'd have to look, but, so that means I'm gonna have to get this up and going quickly.
Is that something you need? So basically, we're stepping up to another platform that takes care of our bookkeeping.
Correct.
Still Bookworks or QuickBooks, but it's a different level, it's more expensive, but it does more for what we're trying to do and make our life easier in the long run, right?
Yeah, it's all online. There's more transparency. I mean, we could,
And what's the difference in cost, basically? Because we have a bucket for bookkeeping anyways in
Yep.
QuickBooks, right? So.
And our bill was going up this year also
Okay.
anyways. Like every year, I mean, I've only been here a couple of years, but it goes up every single year, which everything does.
Right,
So
well, I mean, that's just the way it is.
looking to see if they have
it's $90 a month for QuickBooks Online.
okay. So, and I think ours is like, I want to say it's around 600 or 700. I'd have to look and see what we have budgeted. But, so it's $1,000. It's probably about double of what we're paying now or close to. But
Here's
I
the
think
thing.
that
Okay.
what we benefit from it though is completely worth it.
Okay.
Yeah, and here's the thing. It's a convenience to be able to pay your bills online. If we add a fee, you know, that the payee has to pay,
Yep.
that covers the cost of the QuickBooks.
Is there still, now, people that pay with credit cards and so on and so forth, there's a fee for that anyways, that we recover?
Correct.
Yes, but nobody pays by credit card right now.
Well, I mean, that was some of the questions in the submission. so-
Exactly, they wanting to know what people do use commonly right now is the online pay through their bank. So they just have it set up to automatically pay each month, and I get a check from the bank.
Right.
So there's a lot of people who do that currently, but
And you would still be able to do that.
they could still, it'd be a
Yes.
check that would be coming in just like it normally would. We're gonna have issues though, because a lot of people who do that have not updated it to be the new amount yet. So like, I had checked the PO box today, and there was a lot of checks in there that were still for $80. So, especially the ones that are coming from the bank. So, people just haven't gotten that yet.
And I think that because of the change in the raise in price, we should give them a grace period, and
Yeah.
it's not gonna be
Yeah.
considered a late fee. I just
Yeah.
wanna make that, as we're making this transition, as the rates went up, and we just probably should, I mean, I make a motion that there's gonna be a grace period until everybody gets caught up with this, I think.
And I don't even assess a late fee until somebody is over 90 days past due.
Okay, all right.
So like when people say it showed up as 30 days past due, it's just the amount showing up first, and like I said, I don't understand why it did that on someone's bill, but they weren't assessed a late fee though.
Okay.
So I don't only do that unless if it's over 90 days past due.
And this kind of circles back to some of the submissions that I'm getting.
Yep.
These are the questions that are coming across on the website. So I'm forwarding to Tina so she can answer and make sure that they get corrected.
Yep.
But,
Yep.
I mean, if we're looking to take a new, update our bookkeeping and it's gonna make life easier, realizing that it's gonna be a little bit more money, I think we had money kind of built in for that anyways.
Yep.
Because we talked about going this way. You know, I say we make that change.
I agree.
So I'll look for a motion to make that
I
change.
had a question, the expansion, could that be included into that as a separate account?
Yep, so,
Yeah, I mean,
You know, because we need to figure out the accounting for the
Right.
expansion.
you should be able to, so, how it's set up now, and I would have to check how that works, but you have you have one business per access. So I don't know if we could set it up as an additional business without getting charged, I don't know how that
Well,
works.
would it be just a different line item and we're
Yeah.
keeping our records on that?
that's what I was saying.
There has to be a
Yeah.
way to do
Right.
it, I just don't know how to do it yet.
Now,
So,
is this something that we would get a representative that would help Tina set this up? Or would she have to take the ball and run with the whole thing herself?
QuickBooks has a lot of online PDF, like step-by-step how-tos, but you can also call them and work it out with them. I
The
mean,
only-
I mean, my wife and I can come down too.
And I mean, with QuickBooks, when we did the data transport the last time, it is a total crapshoot who
Yeah.
you get
Yeah.
to. Like, sometimes you're talking to somebody in a completely different country, and there
Yeah.
is a serious language issue, language
Yeah.
barrier. And then other times I've gotten through when it's not been an issue, so it's just kind of the luck of the draw with their support.
Well, I think whatever we decide to do, I want to make sure that you get the support that you need to make sure it's clean and green, so we don't have this continuous problem, you know. We're making the change, we're stepping up to something that's more robust and it's gonna make life easier. Let's make sure we put the right information in so it operates correctly for us. And if it's gonna cost a little bit more money to get to there, I think we just gotta be prepared for that, be able to pay for that. I don't think it's gonna break the bank by any means. Ultimately, it's gonna work better for us, is what I'm hearing.
And it's completely transferable to anyone.
Yep.
Anyone can use it, and if we set it up, and I suggest that we set it up as the chairman is in charge of the account, and then you grant the permissions to everyone.
Okay.
So that when, if Tina moves, or somebody moves or whatever, then the chairman is in charge of it, and there's no issue. Because in the past, we've had
We're still trying to.
conflict, and this alleviates that conflict. It actually puts the head of this association in charge of it. And there's several different layers of permissions that you can have. So it's like, you know, owner, and then there's owner, or then there's auditor with manager permissions, and then there's auditor, and then there's manager, and then there's viewer, and then it's just like there's a ton of different stages of security.
I was gonna say, I would imagine it has a bunch of different firewalls and
Oh, yeah.
prevents cyber hacks and all that other kind of stuff, so. All right, again, I guess I'm looking for a motion to step up to the next level, and then you guys will fill us in on what it's taken to get there.
I'll make the motion to upgrade to the online version.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any other new business? That's it? That's easy. I am looking for a motion to close the meeting.
I make a
First.
motion to close the meeting.
I second.
Not yet.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.